Well, the administration has just announced a new bailout for the housing market. $275 billion. $75 billion of new money and $200 billion coming from the TARP funds that would go to propping up Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. But so far, the markets aren't buying it. The markets still remain in the doldrums, and it seems like in the past year, one program after another, more spending, more borrowing, more inflating, and there's no reassurance. But we shouldn't be surprised, because we can't get out of this mess by merely doing what we've been doing all along, getting us into this mess. But the whole idea that the people who have been paying their mortgages should now suffer the consequence of bailing out those who can't pay their mortgages. Those individuals who got mortgages that really didn't qualify, no down payments, borrowed against the increase in the value of their house, and now they're saying, well, those 92%. See, it's about 92% of the people are doing okay and paying their mortgage. 8% of defaults are causing these problems that we have. And I'm sure there's some innocent people being involved, and ultimately a lot of innocent people suffer from the dependency on inflation. Inflation, of course, is when the Federal Reserve tries to solve its problems or manage the economy by increasing money and credit out of thin air and artificially fixing interest rates. But a characteristic of monetary inflation is that the middle class gets wiped out. So right now, the middle class has not been wiped out. But if we continue to do this, we will wipe out the middle class. But right now, what we're trying to do is find more victims. And the victims have to be those individuals who have been paying their mortgages, probably saving some money and living within their means, and now they have to bail out not only those who didn't pay their mortgages, but all the Wall Streeters, the mortgage companies, the insurance companies, the housing industry, the developers and the builders. They all want bailed out too, and of course the banks on Wall Street as well have been getting this bailout. But it can't work, it won't work, and the sooner we wake up and realize what we need to allow the market to liquidate the bad debt, get rid of the malinvestment, encourage people not to spend, but encourage people to live within their means, pay their bills, get rid of their debt, and save some money. And when that is accomplished and there's a little bit of money in the bank and they're feeling better about themselves, they'll go back to spending. But the faster that occurs, the better. But everything the government has done in the past year has delayed the correction, and that's why we're facing serious consequences in the future, because right now I don't see any decent proposals coming out of Washington, either from the administration, from the Federal Reserve, or the Congress. It's all more of the same, sadly so. Lately, I've been getting more questions about Afghanistan. They want to know what I think's happening over there. So far, I don't think anything good is happening, because right now we're having another military surge. And all I can say about it is Obama's sticking to his word, because he was honest with us during the campaign. He did say that he would send more troops into Afghanistan, and he is. But I can't see how anything good will come from it. We're not learning one thing from history, whether it was the British or whether it was the Soviets. It's a dead-end street to try to militarize Afghanistan. As bad as Iraq is and has been, Afghanistan is going to be much worse. But Obama has announced that 17,000 more troops will be moved in there. That, along with the troops we already have, that'll take us up to 60,000, plus the troops from our allies under NATO. The troops level will be up to 100,000. The Soviets at one time had 150,000 troops in there, and they couldn't control Afghanistan. And it is very costly, and it looks like it's going to be a quagmire, and I see no good purpose coming from this. And unfortunately, if this thing gets out of control, which it very well could, because we're literally bombing Pakistan from Afghanistan, and this war is liable to spread, which means if it gets out of control, it's going to move us in the direction of the administration wanting to impose a military draft on our young people. The sooner we get out of Afghanistan, the better. The markets certainly did not do well this week. Whether it was the signal we're getting from gold, the signal we're getting from the stocks, things look very bad. And it shouldn't surprise us. A lot of people say that we've been in a bear market since the fall of 2007, but I don't believe that's true. I think the marketplace has been in a bear market since the year 2000. Yes, the Dow reached new highs, but that was only because of the tremendous bubble that was built by the Federal Reserve through the inflation in the last 10 years. And finally, they built, after the Dow and the NASDAQ collapsed, they were able to create a new bubble, the housing bubble. And then that finally collapsed. Right now, actually, they've created a new bubble, one more bubble, and that's the bond market, and that's the last one that will finally dissipate. But the markets are indicating that there's no confidence in what the government is doing. No confidence in the Congress or the executive branch or in the Federal Reserve. And there's an old saying that I think is appropriate. It's pushing on a string. They're trying to push in a lot of credit and a lot of new financing. But if the confidence isn't there, it doesn't work. And that's what has happened. The confidence is gone because the dollar system has ended. The dollar system that was devised after Bretton Woods in 1971, that is gone, and they're frantically trying to keep that together. But the best measurement of what they're doing and the value of our currency is the traditional relationship of any currency to gold. And during the Bush years, it was not good. The dollar lost 69% of its value in terms of gold. In the old days, if you had a 10% devaluation of a currency, it was big news. But here's 69% devaluation, and people hardly blinked an eye because they don't think in terms of gold and they don't think in terms of constitutional money, and they just think in terms of managing the economy, and nobody paid any attention to it. But it's even getting worse. The one thing that has been very, very clear-cut since Obama has become president, and that is that gold is acting almost only like a currency. A good, sound money, commodity money is both a good commodity as well as money. And no one individual or one country makes gold money. That came about through history, and it's by tradition, so it is money. But it's acting like money now. And gold, of course, before the week ended, went over $1,000. Just think of the record of the Federal Reserve, and nobody really questions the Federal Reserve, except there are a lot more all the time. But when the Federal Reserve took over, 1/20th of a dollar could buy 1/20th of an ounce of gold. Today, a dollar would have bought 1/1000th of an ounce of gold. And that is a 98% depreciation of our money. And lo and behold, even the consumer price index, if you take the consumer price index of 1913 compared to 9, it's worth 3 or 4 cents. So it's a very good measurement. But the real message is that there's a lot more inflation to come. This week, everybody was just shocked. Shocked because the producer price index went up at a rate of 9% per year. In spite of the weak economy, and they say, oh, that's a fluke. That can't happen. You can't have prices going up. You can't have price inflation when the economy is weak. Demand is down. Oil prices are supposed to drop. Yeah, but gasoline prices are going up. Medical care costs are going up. Insurance costs are going up because you have to look at the value of the money. So I think we are seeing signals now that there's a lot more inflation to come, and that the policies that we have been pursuing for the past year or so are nothing more than the policies that got us into this mess. And the sooner we wake up and realize what we need is a market economy, and we need less spending, we need savings, and then maybe we'll get back to work and solve these problems. But today and this past week, the markets did not send a very good signal, and there wasn't to us in government that we're doing the right thing. The signal is change our ways. The government should change our way. The Federal Reserve should change our policies. And quite frankly, I think I intend to ask Bernanke some of these very same questions, because he will be before the Financial Services Committee next week. And oh, by the way, Volcker will be before the Joint Economic Committee on which I sit. So I might get to quiz him as well.